Good morning, everybody. I hope this video finds you well. I'm in the middle of the convoluted experiences and harshness of making a course change during a campaign. So whenever your campaigns start manifesting, your life kind of goes in turmoil, and that is certainly the case with mine right now. Lordy. You have to bear with me. I'm trying to push these things out in between taking care of this, taking care of that. You know, today I was on the longest bus ride in my life, 3.5 hours for something that should normally be 45 minutes. I was like, Jesus Christ. And then I check my stuff, and a couple of my comments have been deleted for spam and this excuse and that excuse. I don't even know why I bothered with English-speaking internet. And that's called life, don't you know? Today what we're going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about the teleportation unit. Now, as I've discussed in my earlier video, you have to have flux gates that measure the changes in the magnetic flux due to gravitation. And you're taking real-time measurements of all this, but now you've got just tons of reams and reams of data, and you need to organize that into something cohesive. Now there are algorithms, software programs, that will take this reading and you'll be able to see a three-dimensional representation of the room based on changing gravity. Yeah, no shit. They have this stuff. So if you take a electromagnetic flux reading based upon the gravity here and there and there and there and there, all this number and data can be churned into a program, and they can, through the miracles of mathematics and a little bit of AI, they can interpret this information as a three-dimensional representation. How you ask? How can they possibly do that? Well, think for a minute. Let's suppose you have these gravitational sensors all around a cinder block. Okay, you have a cinder block right there in the sidewalk, and you've got 6 gravitational readings, right? And on that sidewalk, you've got people walking by that cinder block that way, walking by this way. You've got dogs going. You've got rain falling, right? Maybe snow falls on it. You've got all this kind of stuff going on. And the gravitational sensors are, of course, taking those readings. And the algorithm, this is a computer program, will then distill what you have into a three-dimensional representation. Using a similar technology, you can have this do a three-dimensional reading of the egress port, the teleportation area. And what you want to look for and what you want to capture is what is fixed, which is the teleportation portal, and what is not, which is a person moving in the portal. Now, obviously, if you have this software, you will know exactly where the portal is because you can see its three-dimensional representation, right? And by watching it in real time, you will see a kind of a blur that will kind of move into the portal and move out of the portal. You'll see this blur. And what you want is a software program that will distinguish between the smaller, lighter mass blur that moves into the portal and out, and all of the surrounding heavier mass. And that's the key, don't you know? It all has to do with mass. So mass is what we're going to use. You see, these algorithms then take the changing mass, modifies it, and you can see it. And the purpose of this important step is you want to isolate the mass that's going into the egress chamber and subtract all the other stuff from around it. And these algorithms can make that determination because your mass is substantially different than the mass of the portal system. And that is a very important key, because you don't want to teleport everything in the damn room. You only want to teleport you and what you're wearing. And of course, there's all kinds of things. You can have it make a judgment on clothing and shoes and a pen in your pocket and stuff, but we've never done anything like that. We just do general stuff where you just take the mass of the person walking in, whether they're holding something on their hands or not, taking the momentary gravitational readings as determined by the flux gate capacitors, or the flux gates, and using that to determine egress coordinates. So this is an important point. It's a very, very important point. The important point is very, very simple. You need to know who and what is the mass you're teleporting. Once you have that, you can electronically subtract it from the data and put it into another location in time and space based upon a surrounding environment. And that is how you conduct time travel. That is how you conduct world line travel. That is how you conduct all this other kind of travel. It's simply a matter of moving a person, identifying their coordinates of gravitational location, subtracting that from what you currently have, then quickly taking the teleporter, switching the modified coordinates. So you have your import coordinates, then you switch it because you're totally in a bath of flux. You're clean, new ones are put in, and boom, you're at your new location. It's pretty simple when you get the hang of it. And actually, it's not that fragile. It's a very robust system. That's a good thing to know. You don't want to go into those and have 3 eyes, come out with an extra appendage, huh? Right? Or start losing your hair or something like man. The point is that these systems exist. Maybe I can start giving you some. I've written and listed a whole bunch of names regarding these systems, and they work, and I can give them to you. Whatever system you use, they're all very, very similar. The key is converting the gravitational waves that you pick up on the flux gate sensors into HFGW frequencies. Okay? So now you have a way to convert gravity to frequency. Okay? And that is all done by these algorithms. And then this particular algorithm that separates the heavy masses from the lighter masses. This results in a hydromagnetic separational sequence, and you are using high pass and low pass filters on the bandwidth that is determined by the mechanism that you have created, modified by the software to generate this attractive data points. Okay. I've got all this, all the mathematics on the web page. Just go ahead and go at it. You'll find the information there far detailed, more detailed than I want to do right now. Do you want me to go through the mathematics of it? Ugh. But basically, it's pretty simple. And you use these software programs to accomplish that feat. In my post, let me find out which post this is. This information that can be found on part 2. It's part 2. So in my DIY index, go to the article that says part 2, and you can go through the mathematics of this separation. There are, what was I looking at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I looked at and provided 6 different algorithms, 6 different software programs that will separate these values for you. And this is what you would use in number crunching the raw data that comes from the flux sensors. You can use graphic smoothing and endpoint smoothing. That's one. You can use polynomial surface fitting. You can use minimum curvature method. Finite element analysis. Everybody uses finite element analysis. It's a no-brainer. Stripping method and the proposed separate the regional anomaly using 3-dimensional magnetic inversion algorithms. Now, you know, I could be ripping this stuff off if I was involved in it day to day, but personally, people, I would rather go out, eat, and drink right now. Knowing mathematics didn't really get me laid. Women don't really want to hear about it unless they're a mathematical nerd. Instead, they talk about other stuff. And so if you want to bore people, you could talk about endpoint sampling, but it's not going to really help you too much. But if you want to travel to another world line, you are going to need to know how to do this. I tell you what. So you're going to take your, again, I'm repeating myself. I think I must have said this about 15 times in this particular video, but what you're going to do is you're going to take your flux capacitor readings, get a bunch of numbers from them. Moving these flux capacitors doesn't help you at all. It messes things up. You got to keep them fixed. And then take the data as it changes over time. These algorithms that I just listed is how you're going to take that raw data and separate it into a 3-dimensional model that you can visualize. And you can visualize the portal, and you can visualize while it's walking into the portal. And you need that information because that information is your egress coordinates of the person walking into the portal and the portal itself, and you're separating the two. This is a very important step, very, very important. And I know you're asking, how can you do this? How can you choose which filters to use that filters the person walking into the portal from the portal itself? And that has to do with the mass. You see, the target, the person that's walking in it, is using a low filter, a low energy filter band, while the portal itself is a high energy, I am saying right? High frequency band. And these two bands enable you to separate the two. They're frequency band. It's all done in mathematics and calibrated within this algorithm. And it's really slick. And you can actually see this blob moving in to the portal. Now, if you had a portal and you're reading this blob moving in the portal, and you take that coordinates and then you have a replacement coordinate where those coordinates are not there, the person disappears from the universe completely. Actually, they go into something else, but I'm not going to talk about it right now. Now, I suppose for you mathematics wonks, you want me to stand at a blackboard and write all these equations here. I find it particularly boring. I'm just telling you, there's a software program out there. You buy it off the shelf, or you get the PDF of the person who writes that, and you talk to a software program and ask them to program it for you. It's an easy thing to do, and I don't need to explain the engine and how it works. If you want to buy a Lexus at the dealer, you don't care about how the engine works, do you? You just want to see and feel the texture of the leather and see if the door opens smoothly. Most people. And that's the kind of guy I am. If you're a real wonk for engines and stuff, you wouldn't be going to a Lexus dealer. You might go somewhere else, like the Indy 500. Tell you what. So that's how it works. So let me kind of summarize in this. And basically the way it works is, person walks into a portal, you take the readings. You number crunch the readings. Happens in a nanosecond. It happens so fast. And you get a three-dimensional rendering of what's going on. You use filters to separate the person walking in from what they're walking into. And that is your egress coordinate. And your arrival coordinate, we'll talk about that in the next video. In the meantime, people, know I believe in you, and don't take life too seriously, okay? Good things are on the way. And at that, people, take care, because I will.
当城市被笼罩在一片灰色，只有血液昭示生命还炙热。弱肉强食都遵循这个规则，看谁比谁有资格让爆破被最后的视线定格。我用火焰招待天外的来客，趁着陨石还在和大气拉扯，涅槃就在下一刻。用血肉，用信念。要我的心永远都不陨落，在这硝烟，在这废墟，就算倒下也不退缩。要看我冲破苍穹，让宇宙听见怒吼，咆哮着，挣扎着。整片星空燃烧着，燃烧着。当城市被笼罩在一片灰色，只有血液昭示生命还炙热。弱肉强食都遵循这个规则，看谁比谁有资格让爆破被最后的视线定格。我用火焰招待天外的来客，趁着陨石还在和大气拉扯，涅槃就在下一刻。用血肉，用信念。要我的心永远都不陨落，在这硝烟，在这废墟，就算倒下也不退缩。要看我冲